Explain it.
60% is equal to 100, making 8% of the 16%, which is like 2 kids. And that explains, that makes sense compared to this graph. It makes totally sense.
I don't get it.
So I see like this, like it's like a bunch of fractions. So it's like when it says there are 8 and 12% of the students taking advanced level math calculus, it's like out of all the students in the whole nation taking advanced level math calculus, 8% of them are black and 12% are Latino. So it's like 8 out of 100 and 12 out of 100, even though 16% of the students nationwide are black and 21% out of the students nationwide are Latino. So it's not like 12 out of 21, it's like 12 out of 100 and 21 out of 100.
So,
But they're still connected. It's confusing.
Yeah, so making the of that 60%, only 8% of that 16% is taking about AP math class.
So basically 50% of the black students are taking AP classes.
Yes.
No,
Yes, it is.
no, it's saying that 60. Think about
8%, 8 of 16 is 50.
Yeah, but you're thinking about 60 as 100%
But it's
now.
not 8 out of 16.
It's not 8 out of 16, it's 8%, which is 8 students.
8%, but of what? Of
If
the
16 students were in a classroom and 8% of them
Yeah, say
is
it was
taking
only
it, it'll be
100
only 8
No,
students.
it's 60.
No, David, it's like this.
16 students are in a classroom.
There-
8, how much is
Can I talk?
8%?
Can I talk?
David.
If there were 100 students, 16 of them were black, only 8 of them would be taking AP classes.
Yes.
What don't you understand?
wait, no.
that
What
makes
I'm not understanding is it's 8% of the entire population of like high school students,
I don't think
or
it's
it's
like that.
8%
Of
of.
the 60% of the black kids. That's what I think.
Nationwide, 8% is
Let's look at the
Because it says
word.
They that it's talking about the black and then Latino.
respectively, so it's black.
Like, you know how like in a ratio, like when you put 1 in 5 and then you write it as like 1:5, you know, like it's automatically like correlates 1 into 5. Like if you write blue and white and then you had 1 in 5, you know 1 is blue and then 5 is white. Like, I think it's like that because they put they, and it's just the way it's worded. It makes 16 relative to 8 and 21 relative to 12.
I still think that 8%
But like,
represents
no, it's not 8% out of the 16.
things like that. That's
No,
not
because
and that would make sense with the other
it
graph.
wouldn't make sense.
It would make
because,
sense with this one. With the school graph, that would make sense.
First of all, 8% out of the 16.
And that's like saying the whole half of the graph is gonna be shaded in,
Yeah.
but it's not.
8% out of 16.
That's a lot.
Really, like,
That's a lot.
like.
No,
That's
eight-
literally 50%.
no, 8% of 16.
That's 50.
But that's not
that's
how it
50.
8% of
That's
16.
50. That's 50%. That's a lot of people.
No, of 16.
Yes, 8%.
Okay, 16 times 0.8.
That's not what it's telling you though.
How you know? It
Because
doesn't-
it's saying that. It's saying 8% and 12% of the students take the advanced level math calculus. It's not saying out of the black and Latino students in
it
high
doesn't
school
say out of the
nationwide.
nationwide too.
It says the students taking advanced math calculus.
Yeah, but it doesn't refer who are the students.
Are these 16 students taking advanced math calculus?
No.
Exactly. So it's just 16. It's like,
16%.
all right, just take 100, and 16 of them are black. Now it says only 8% of the students taking advanced level math calculus.
That's all those students. That
That's
whole.
all the students. And then there's a portion of them taking advanced level math calculus. So how much of them taking advanced level math calculus is 8%. There's only 60% of the kids in the school. I mean, there's only 16 kids in the school, and 8% of the whole school is black though. Like
So what does
8%
that
of the
mean?
black students in the school are taking. They can say that it basically means that 50% of the black kids are. But like you can't just say 50% because then you'd have to change 12 up too, because 12 isn't 50% of 21. So like that's why they use 8 and 12.
It's like it's more than 50%, right? 12 is
More
more
than
than 50.
12
So-
is more than 50% of 21.
So thinking like, what I think is like of 100 kids, 16 kids are black, right? And of those kids, 8% of those 16 are the ones taking. That would be like one kid. It would literally be one kid.
No, David. No, it's not 8% of the 16. Because first of all, you
I
wouldn't
think
do
it might
you
be.
you never would do 8% of 16.
Okay.
That's just a
But
bad
wouldn't that make
fraction.
sense? Wouldn't that make sense?
You
Wouldn't that
never-
wouldn't
in
make
math,
sense with the
you'll
graph?
never ever do 8% of 16. It's always 8% out of 100. Maybe
No,
even
no, no, no,
200.
no, no, no.
Maybe
That's-
300.
If could you do 8% of 16
Yeah,
kids,
But
it's,
why
it's,
would you
point,
do that?
it's 1 point.
it would be
It's 1.2.
It would be one kid.
One kid.
So
I mean,
what
one.
would be the author's reason to present the math this way? Is the author trying to like emphasize
I just
something
don't
or
think he
hide
was,
something?
I just
or
think he was really vague and didn't know what he was doing. But I think
Yeah, I
like
think that he
I
did.
think if you really read it, you can understand that it's a ratio. It's 16 and
No,
8
it's not a ratio.
and 21 and 12.
Because that would make sense. If you think it the way I'm thinking, it will make sense this graph.
That's because of the way you're thinking. All right, look.
But this way doesn't.
look,
it
look, look,
contradicts the other graph.
He says 8% of the advanced level math, 8% of the students.
The students.
These students.
60%.
The students taking the advanced level math calculus.
so if
So-
there are 100 kids,
If there are 100 kids taking 8th level math calculus, 8% of them are black. And it's saying that out of all the students nationwide, 16% of them are black. Do you understand now?
Oh, let's talk about involved in school, not in a certain course.
I know. I'm talking about like
And that would make-
in school though.
In the school, yeah. But no.
In school, they're only 60%.
can you revoice for us? What are you getting from
I
this?
honestly have no idea what's
No,
happening.
but in school,
He's saying
only-
this, he's saying this.
But what do you see when you look at the?
Yeah,
What
I
do you
think? I think it's just like 8% of the 16. Like what David is saying.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. Sean's just not like.
I see what Sean's saying because he's saying that there's two different data points here. There's the data point that 16% of students who are enrolled in high school nationwide are black.
Oh, here's an easy way. You can just compare it to this.
Yeah, that would make.
Look, compare it to this. It's not saying 11.6% of the 47.4 are taking math. It's saying 11.6% out of the whole school that is black is taking upper level math. It's not saying this percent of this. It's saying now you're gonna draw 11.4 on here. That might be 1/3% or 1/4% of
back
that.
you up on that. Exactly. You can't have 72% if there's only 44% of the students. If there's 44% of the students, it has to take the whole school into account. So you have to count the white student, the black student, the Hispanics, the Asians, and you count most of the people in that class. It's gonna be white. 73% of it is gonna be white, basically. So it's not gonna have you can't have 44% of the students and 73 of them is gonna be all white. It's basically saying as the whole school, 73% of the certain course is gonna have white students in it.
That's what it's.
Couldn't we say so? Yeah, basically, backing out on that. Couldn't we say that these two sentences are completely different from each other?
No,
This one doesn't
they're
How
have.
would they?
They're related by topic,
By
but
topic.
they're different data points.
It have different data points. Think like this, Sean.
I mean, they're different graphs.
No, yeah. So thinking like that. So 16 and 21%, right? Yeah. We of 100 kids, 16 kids will be that. But of 100 kids taking that class, not nationwide, taking that class, taking math class, only 8%. So yeah, will be 8 people, but these two doesn't have a relationship. They will be different.
Let me make a graph. Hold on.
How much?
We're gonna figure this out.
Oh, hold on, that's too big. That's too big. Cross this one.
I feel like you know the answer. I feel like you know the answer, you don't want to tell.
All right, tell me, David. Is this graph out of 100? What do you think?
Can't see that, that's too little.
It says 16 and 8.
That's 16.
I mean 12 and 8. 12 and 8.
Or 12 and 8. Yes, that would be 100 of taking.
Wait. You would say it'd be out of 100 though, right? If I was telling you that this is a graph out of 100, you accept it, right? Makes sense, right?
You gotta tell me where is the percentage come from, but yeah, I would think it's out of 100.
And if I were to tell you this is out of 100, you could accept that, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why would this be out of 100? If you add 21 and 16, it'll be 36. Why would it be out of 100?
What we're saying out of 100.
Students, the Asian
Yeah, you gotta count like
That'd be 100.
the other would be 100. Yeah.
And I could put other and then
have to
like
put other
a
in there,
whole
too.
other percent.
Yeah.
Alright, whatever. 20 with 16, 37, so it's 63.
Oh yeah. 63. 63.
And then
So, before we get to the mathematical conclusion, I have to notice that it's taking us a long time to work out what the author meant here. So, do you think there's a reason why the author worded the data this way?
to make us think about.
Yeah, to make us really think about.
Do you think most readers, when they were reading this, would take this much time to think about it?
no, I wouldn't.
I mean,
just get through it.
if I found,
It's numbers.
I need to see like the error. Like say, oh, this doesn't make sense. But if I don't see error, I just go through it. Like because we are T, we see the like, oh, there's something wrong about it. There's something. That's the only thing because we are T. We went over like twice.
So do you feel like the author is trying to make the data appear in a certain way because it supports his position?
Oh yeah, it's like bias. Yeah, it's like he's wording the data like bias to his position, but it doesn't mean
That
that.
was 100% out of 100.
But do you get my point now?
So what does that tell you about the next time you read an article like this?
12.
To reread the
There's
data.
21 teams.
To think about why the data means.
Like, these are hard numbers now. These are hard numbers because it's out of 100. It's not even percents no more.